So you've set up the calm corner in your classroom. Now what do you do? Before you open it up to your students and let them go there, you need to teach them your expectations. But there's a little bit more that goes into it. When your kiddos come to your classroom, they're not going to know how to use your calm corner right away. They're just not going to know what to do until you teach them. So it's really important to set up your expectations so they don't treat it like a play area. My name is Rachel Hull. I'm a former first grade teacher. I had a lot of success with the calm corner in my classroom because my students really knew what the purpose of my calm corner was, what they were supposed to do, and when they were supposed to leave it. And so setting some clear expectations with my students really helped my calm corner keep my classroom running pretty relaxed and almost zen-like. But anyway, they were, the anxiety level was down and my students were able to learn. This is the third and last video in the Calm Corner series. The first one was all about the benefits of having a calm corner. If you're still on the fence, you don't want to have one, you're not sure if it's worth it, go watch that video. And if you're not sure what to put in your calm corner, that's the second video. And now this video is going to tell you how to teach your students how to use your calm corner. The first thing you need to do is think of some potential problems that might arise around your calm corner. And it takes a little bit of mind reading. You don't know what the problem is until you have the problem. So let's think of some potential problems that might happen with your calm corner. And you're going to get to know your students, so you might know some extra things, but I'm going to give you some issues that I really made sure that I didn't want to happen in my calm corner. And when you have a problem in mind, then you can kind of think about an expectation so that doesn't happen. So like, what if more than one student wants to go? What will be your routine if two students are upset? One wants to go, one, gets there first. What do you do? Usually I would just maybe say, okay, I've got a timer. I always have timers at my calm corner. And so, they're going to go right now when the timer's up. It's your turn. So can you wait? We're going to have a 2-minute timer in there. Can you wait 2 minutes? Or do you want to come sit by me while you're waiting? That sort of thing. You can kind of come up with a solution for that. Or when will they know it's time to return to their seats? Because the last thing you want them to do is think that they can go there and sit all day. And again, timers are great for that. But kind of think about what you would do in order for your students to know that, okay, I've done my job at the calm corner. Now it's time to rejoin my classmates. Or what if they go there and they just play with the sensory items, leave a mess, things like that? What will be your workaround to make sure that their sensory items are used as tools for the calming strategies like we talked about in the previous video, or if they're going to go and play? And for me, my rule was always try one sensory item at a time. If it didn't work, put it back, try another one. So these are just some potential problems that you might think of to make sure that you have a solution. And then you can come up with an expectation around that problem. And that way, this will keep your calm corner really functional. It's going to be working well for your students, and it won't be a play area that just causes a distraction. Once you have these expectations in mind, and again, keep in mind, you can always change them as your students are learning, how to use their calm corner and their strategies. If you're seeing a big problem, you can always change your expectations and just practice with your students. And we'll get to that in a second. But once you have your expectations, it's important that you post them. Your rules are important to post so your students always kind of have a reminder of what is expected of them. So I always had a poster that looked like this. It just kind of is really simple. It kind of had, some kind of clip art, some kind of fun, inviting way. So the poster didn't look so like sterile, but, this calm corner, and then you could put your rules there. These are available on my website, and I'm going to link them below, and I'll tell you in a second how you can get these at a discount too. I'm going to offer a discount, but these are just some sample rules. Set a timer, try a calming strategy. If you need to, try another one, and then return to your seat. Very basic rules, but you can start with that, especially if you're starting a new calm corner. But the good thing about these posters is that there's another one of these with this being a blank field, and you can type in, you can either print it and write in your rules, or you can type in your rules and print it, and it will look like this, but your rules will be there instead. For a long time, I would call my calm corner the Zen Den because it just kind of, I like alliteration, and I think it sounded good. So sound alliteration, no, alliteration is when they have the same sounding letter, but rhyming words, you know, I liked how it sounded and the kids liked it too. So I also have a Zenden poster. I have them in the neutral colors, but then I also have like really colorful primary colors depending on what you want. So, and again, this is the same thing with the sample rules, and it's editable so you can type in your own rules. And I also have this in a Zen zone if you want it. So we've got a couple different options of what to call it. You can call it anything you want, but like a calm corner, Zen den, Zen zone. So anyway, it's important to put a rule poster in your calm corner or your Zen den in order to make sure your students know what your expectations are. We also talked about what happens if you have a smaller classroom, and we, you know, the last video, I think, and the previous one, what happens if you don't have room for an actual corner in your classroom. And so we talked about portable Zen dens or portable calm corners, and you just get like a really comfy bathroom rug and put some sensory items in this, and then that way your students can take that to a kind of more private area in your classroom. So if that happens, you can easily just tape your rules right on the top of this so your students know what to do. And you would definitely need to edit it, say, you know, grab the tub, go find an area, you know, whatever your expectations are, you can put them on here and put it right on your tub. Once you have an idea of the routine that you would like your students to follow at the calm corner, it's time to explain it to them and model it. And I want you to take your time on this. In fact, I don't want you to do it all in one day. Maybe during your morning meeting, set aside a couple minutes just to talk about it. You know, maybe during, you know, a resting time or a restroom break or some, you know, find a time where it just takes a couple minutes just to kind of go over it a little bit, because you want to be very thorough. And if you take little short periods of time, your kids are going to remember it better than a 20-minute mini lesson on your Zen den or your calm corner. And it's really important you do this before they go visit their calm corner, because it's easier to front load them and tell them what to expect and then tweak it from here or there, or have them practice one or two things, then have them go and start learning how not to use it and then try to correct it. So it's really important you do this before any of your students set foot in your calm corner. So when you're explaining this to your students, because it's so important that you want them to really pay attention, if you lower your voice and you sound a little bit sneaky like this, then that's really going to pique their attention. And that works with anything. In fact, that was my kind of usual tone of voice in my classroom was, you know, my inflection still went up and down, so it wasn't monotone, but it was quiet. And so my students would sit on the edge of their seat to listen. And as long as you have some expression going on, you'll be amazed at how much that works. So it's just a pro teacher tip. But anyway, I would use this voice for my calm corner and be like, okay, friends, it's time I teach you about one of the most special areas in our classroom. And it is so wonderful. And we need to keep it wonderful. And so we're going to really talk about it to make sure that you use this area and you keep it special, because if we go in there and we don't use it the way we should, it's not going to be special at all. And then you would take this time to go, this is our calm corner. And what do you think we would use this for? And you can really have a discussion with your students about what it's for. It's very important that you talk about the purpose of it, which again is you want them to go and identify their feelings, use some calming strategies so they can regulate those emotions that are difficult to understand, and then return to their seats. And so it's really important that your students know that first, because that way you're emphasizing what the calm corner is for instead of treating it like a play zone. And now I want you to model using your calm corner. I want you to get your best, you know, Oscar-winning performance out there and just say, you know, I'm feeling so sad. You know, at recess, my friend didn't want to play with me. She wanted to play with somebody else. And I just was feeling so sad. And so I like to go visit the calm corner because this is all, you know, this is something I can't stop thinking about. And I know that I have to read my book, but I can't yet because I have this to think about. And so you would really talk yourself through, do out loud thinking, you know, go to the calm corner, set a timer, you know, and say, you know, I'm really sad, so I don't really want to squeeze a stress ball, or I don't want to play with Play-Doh right now, or Connect, or whichever one's, you know, sensory items. And by the way, go watch the sensory item video if you need to. But like I'm feeling like I need comfort, so I'm gonna hug this stuffed animal. And then, you know, you sit there and you model it, and you kind of, you know, and you can kind of speed it up a little bit. But, you know, then say, okay, you know what, my timer is done, and I feel better. I feel a lot more calm. And so I'm going to take one deep breath and then go. And I mean, go through everything. Show them every single thing you would want a student to do. You do it, and so they can see what is right and what's wrong. And then you get up and you put your things away and you go back to your seat. So you are modeling what it should look like. And you might even want to demonstrate what it shouldn't look like. So maybe you would go in there and just say, I'm really mad, and so I'm just going to throw this pillow across the room, or, don't go overboard where you're giving them ideas, you know what I mean? So don't throw the pillow across the room, that's a bad idea. But go in there and make a mess, or go in there and, and just play, and just, and then come out and say, okay, well, I guess I'm fine. Just have that conversation with your students about what worked well, what helped me feel better, this one or this one. And just, what would happen if all of our students went back and made a mess in the calm corner and was really disruptive and we couldn't teach, and because again, remember, you're going to want to point out everybody else's learning and teaching. This is a private thing. And so you want to make sure that you're not disrupting the class. And so having that discussion about what might happen if our calm corner looks like that, I have no problem closing my calm corner if we're going to treat it like that. And so that's an important discussion for your students to have. So now it's time to practice. They know your expectations, they're posted, they've seen what it should look like. Now I want you to ask a volunteer to show, what would happen if you're angry? Can you show us what a student going to the calm corner would look like? And, and again, have them kind of show what to do. And you can say, oh, I really like how they chose a stress ball to do. And I really like how they looked at the timer, and made sure that they came back to their class. Or I really like how they took one big deep breath and then came back to their, to rejoin their classmates. So you can kind of narrate what they're doing, but it's really important to practice before a student goes to the calm corner. So how do you know if a student is ready? Well, you're going to have the first student say, can I go to the calm corner? And you can always tell them no. If you have a student that comes and says, can I go to the calm corner? And you don't think they need it, or we're on our way out the door, it's your calm corner. You can tell them no. But you can always offer them a solution. Would you like to walk with me? Or, while we're going to gym, if you're still feeling bad, poorly confused after gym, you can go, things like that. But the first student that goes to the calm corner, kind of pay attention to how they do. If a student is going to the calm corner and isn't following the rules, whether they don't want to or because they forgot, which is probably more like it, I don't know, maybe both, don't call them out in front of everybody, because again, this is supposed to be a really safe area. And so if you're going to say, well, you didn't use the calm corner correctly, they're not going to want to go. It's going to take away the comfort level of it. You can pull them aside and say, I noticed you liked the calm corner. You were one of the first ones to go. How did you like it? Did it help? Did you feel better? And I just did notice that, when you left, you didn't, put your thing away. Would you mind putting that away so the next student can come and it can be where we know that the sensory items are kept, something like that. But if you do notice bigger issues overall, like it just isn't working, your students aren't doing what they're supposed to there, it's not helping, they're not trying calming strategies, they're just going and wasting time there, you can pull the whole class up again. And remember, use that calming, sneaky voice and go, gosh, our special area got a little messy. And we want to keep it a wonderful area. And so what can we do to make sure that this is a special area where we go and we feel better? Because I think we need to practice it a little bit more. And it's okay to add a little humor. Maybe they left a mess. It's, things are everywhere, the fidget popper thing's over there, just maybe it's a mess. And you can say, when I was picking up my room after school, I noticed the sensory items were everywhere. Did a little mouse come in while we were at lunch? What happened? And, they'll laugh, they'll giggle. And it's okay to do that because, it just kind of lightens the mood. You're not mad. You just want them to see that this is something important so that our calm corner can do its job. And with anything you're doing, and this is another pro teacher tip, your kids are between 5, 7 years old, depending on what grade you teach. But if you're watching this as an lower elementary student, these are babies and they forget things. And it's important that instead of getting frustrated and mad and getting upset that they forgot, because there's so much for them to remember, and also it's better for your blood pressure too. It's better to have the mindset of, these are babies. I just have to remind them. I don't remember everything either. And so I want to have gentle reminders of things rather than having somebody get upset if I forgot something. And so I'd rather just sit my kids down. And I know it's kind of annoying and it takes some time, but I'd rather remind them and have that discussion with them to say, it's been a while, like maybe it's after Christmas break. Let's remember what the Calm Corner's job is. And that way we can start fresh and we don't start bad habits. Instead of, I have told you what to do with Calm Corner. If you can't use the Calm Corner, you can't go. I'm closing it. It's not working. That's it. You see what I mean? So it's kind of about mindset. So these 3 tips are how I kept my Calm Corner running really smoothly. My students enjoyed going to it. It was never really a problem as long as I set my expectations up ahead of time and I modeled them, I showed them what I wanted, and I practiced. And so I hope that these help you set up your Calm Corner and so its functionality is going to work. Remember, you want it to be a place where your students can go, identify their feelings, work through some calming strategies to regulate their emotions so they can rejoin your classroom. And if they do that, the atmosphere of your classroom is going to be pretty relaxed and almost Zen-like, which is why I like the Zen Den thing. And that way you're going to be able to teach. So thanks for joining me with these 3 Calm Corner videos. I hope they were very helpful. I'd love to see pictures of your Calm Corner or hear how it's working for you. So make sure that you leave me a comment or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And please make sure to subscribe to Teaching Firsties because I will be back with more teaching tips.